Our coalition provides a framework for organizations, families, individuals to address substance abuse issues in our community. Members of the Casa Grande Alliance include over 50 individuals and agencies who share a vision of a safe and drug-free community. We serve Pinal County primarily and focusing primarily on Casa Grande and the surrounding communities. Our mission is to create partnerships and work together to reduce substance abuse and violence among youth and adults. Our motto is partnering for a safe and drug-free community. We are thrilled to have you all here tonight, and we hope you had a chance to visit with some of our coalition members outside who shared with you how marijuana affects their organizations. Before we begin, I want to share with you that we have held town halls in the past where we presented related topics such as drug and alcohol use among our youth in an informative approach. Tonight is no different. We are not here tonight to denounce the use of marijuana or argue against it being used medicinally or recreationally. Our goal is simple. We want to bring awareness to you and encourage you to engage in a conversation with your kids, your parents, and your friends about the facts involved with marijuana use. Tonight we are fortunate to have the Black Box Foundation teaming up with students from our local SAD chapters, that's Students Against Destructive Decisions, to present you with a mock debate about marijuana. After that, we have a short video for you to watch, and then we'll be presenting our professional panel with some questions. And our SAD students will end the night with a fun surprise, or at least that's what I'm told. So a few things I want to mention before we begin. Of course, there are house rules, as always, and if anyone needs to use our public facilities, they're right out the back door to your left. Okay. This door is locked, so if you need to leave for any other reason, you can still step right out the back door. There is a camera in here, and it is recording, so if you want to avoid having to duck under or over it, go around the outside of your robes there, okay? Another thing is, all of you received an envelope when you walked in the door, and in that envelope was a pen and a card. You also received a raffle ticket, but I'll get back to the raffle. So if you have a question or comment pertaining to marijuana that you would like us to address, please write it on that card and drop it in the basket. We have a basket right in the back of the room that Megan's going to hold up real quick. It's a it is a green basket. Don't confuse these. It is a green basket, okay? And those baskets will come around the room as well, so you don't have to go back there to drop off your card. But if you have a question or a comment about marijuana, anything at all, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to write or comment on, please write it and get it into one of those buckets throughout the evening here. If we don't get to your question or you just have a thought you want to know about or an issue that you want to know about, please feel free to write it down. If you'd like to put your contact information like a name or an email or a phone number, if you'd like us to contact you back in case we don't address your question tonight with our professional panel, please do that as well. And I promise you, we'll get back in contact with you soon, okay? That's a little bit of fun, and we'll have more of that in a few minutes. But at this time, I'd like to get started with our presentation, our show, I should say, since you have tickets, right? And I'd like to introduce to you the Black Box Foundation, Mr. Ken Ferguson, and our local SAD chapter. Ken?
All right, thank you. By the way, you can fill that water up so you can wash down yourself. I'm a practical man. Welcome, my name is Ken Ferguson, and I will be your host for a very important mock debate. We have flown in some people from all over the world who will be presenting to you their opinions, both pro and con, on the topic of marijuana. Let's be blunt. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our two teams. Here on, we have our pro side and our con side, and each of them will be representing various opinions. And let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with our first two up. We have obviously an American here, an American flag. Will you step around and show everyone the, yes, yes, she's wearing the flag. Good. All right. Please present your opinion.
As an American, I believe they should stop throwing people in jail for simple marijuana possession. Period.
Oh, Period. All right, a rebuttal, please.
Actually, only 0.4% of prisoners with no prior offenses are in jail for marijuana possession. 99.8% of federal prisoners sentenced for drug offenses were incarcerated for drug trafficking. That is more than just simple marijuana possession.
Very good. You can clap if you like. All right, do you have a response?
Yes, I do. I believe that cops are just wasting their time and our tax dollars fighting marijuana. Their focus needs to be on more important things like robbers and murderers. That's a fact.
Wow, a response or rebuttal?
Drugs are generally the root cause of larger, more violent crimes. A survey by the Bureau of Justice Statistics showed that 0.7% of all state inmates were behind bars for marijuana possession only, with many of them pleading down for more serious crimes. In total, 0.1% of all state prisoners were marijuana possession offenders with no prior sentences. Period.
Wow, great, thank you. You can clap if you want. Do you have a response?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, thank you both very much. You can go ahead and have a seat. Let's bring our next two up. And when you're ready, go ahead and present your opinion.
Thank you. Fact. Marijuana is natural. So how can it be harmful?
Rebuttal?
There are other plants that occur in nature that are very dangerous. Poison ivy, poisonous mushrooms, and mold. Just because it's natural does not make it safe.
Oh, okay, good. That's right. Response?
May I come in like a wrecking ball on this?
Did you just ask me if you could come in like a wrecking ball?
Yes.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Fact. Marijuana is less dangerous than alcohol and tobacco. Boom.
Rebuttal?
Marijuana may not produce direct overdoses, but tobacco rarely, if ever, does either. But we would not say that tobacco can't kill or hurt you, and we shouldn't say marijuana cannot do these things either. Emergency room admissions for marijuana use now exceed those for heroin. The numbers are continue to rise. There is a link between suicide and marijuana. Marijuana use can cause psychotic breaks in some individuals, which can and has led to suicide.
Thank you. And yes, you can stop. All right, do you have a response?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Fact. I'm addicted to marijuana. Said no one ever. Boom.
That was a subtle boom, but it was a boom, okay? How about rebuttal?
Statistics show the risk of addiction goes from about 1 in 11 overall to about 1 in 6 for those who start using in their teens, and even higher among daily smokers. Marijuana has been shown to be addictive, increase chances of heart attack, and impair the ability to drive and perform tasks that require coordination and judgment. In addition, smoking marijuana deposits 4 times more tar in the lungs than smoking an equivalent amount of tobacco, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, and that is a fact.
Very good. All right, well, thank you, and you can have a seat.
Well, as a local entrepreneur, both my city and state will benefit from the taxes I'll pay to operate a dispensary.
Okay, good. Rebuttal?
With increased use, public health costs will also rise, likely outweighing any tax revenues from your legal marijuana. For every dollar gained in alcohol and tobacco taxes, $10 are lost in legal, health, social, and costs to regulate. So far in Colorado, tax revenue has fallen short of expectations. Total marijuana tax revenue, both from medical and recreational sales, for the 2015 fiscal year comprises 0.7% of Colorado's total general fund revenue.
Very good. Response?
Getting marijuana from a recreational shop will stop people from buying it from illegal drug dealers. We will finally be able to get rid of the black market.
Okay, rebuttal?
No, it won't. In states that have legalized recreational marijuana, people are still buying it from illegal drug dealers business to avoid paying the higher tax on recreational marijuana.
Do you have any more? All right. Thank you both very much. All right, let's bring up. Yes, very good. All right, our next two, go ahead and present your opinion.
I think if they just let the government regulate marijuana like alcohol and cigarettes, there probably won't be any problems.
Good, okay. Rebuttal?
Looking at the costs related to alcohol and tobacco on healthcare, it is huge. That's not even mentioning traffic wrecks, violent crime, suicide attempts, and other related consequences related to alcohol. Alcohol is the number one substance that is used in the U.S., and tobacco has usually been second. So will regulating marijuana like alcohol and tobacco solve any problem, or just cause more?
Oh, very good question there, and do you have a response?
I do. I think the marijuana being sold in recreational shops is safer than marijuana than street marijuana. I think probably yes, it has to be safer.
All right, good. And do you have a rebuttal with me? Adjust your mic a little bit here. There we go. All right, try that.
This is a common misperception. The marijuana sold in recreational shops is the same marijuana that is sold on the streets and carries the same health risks. Now,
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much for conceding the floor. Do you have a response?
No.
All right, thank you both very much. Let's bring up our next two. I think we have a parent here. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and present your opinion.
As a parent, I don't think it's a big deal if my kid smokes pot. I smoked it when I was a teen. I turned out just fine. I eventually stopped using it, grew up, and now I'm a successful business owner.
All right. Rebuttal.
Marijuana in the 80s and 90s had an average THC content of 3%. The average THC content of today's marijuana is 12%, with many popular methods of consumption increasing THC content up to 90%. The psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, THC, has increased almost six-fold in the average potency during the past 30 years. This is not the marijuana of yesteryear, and all the effects of the higher THC concentration are not yet known. What is known is that marijuana use in adolescents can lower their IQ by an average of 8 points. So what does this mean? A youth who is of average intelligence can drop to below average by using marijuana.
All right. Do you have a response?
I talk to my kids all the time. It's a normal part of growing up to drink alcohol or smoke a joint. Everyone does it. It's no big deal.
Rebuttal.
NIDA Director Dr. Nora Vogel states, regular marijuana use in adolescents is known to be a part of a cluster of behaviors that produce enduring detrimental effects and alters the trajectory of a young person's life, thwarting his or her potential. Beyond potentially lowering IQ, teen marijuana use is linked to school dropout, other drug use, mental health problems, etc.
Okay, great. And
according to the 2014 Arizona Youth Survey, 86% of Casa Grande high schoolers don't use marijuana. Most kids don't use marijuana. That's a big deal. And one of the main reasons why you don't use marijuana is because they don't want to disappoint a caring adult in their life. This means that adults are having conversations with their children about the risks of marijuana use. Now,
thank you. All right, please be seated. Is that everyone? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of our mock debate. Please give a round of applause. Come on up, guys. Before you guys take a bow, I just want to say it was a pleasure working with the kids. We did a lot of silly improv things, and they trusted me, and I really appreciate it. So great job, and now take your bow, please. You guys are going out that way. Okay. There's a motorcycle there, do not ride on the motorcycle. Who has the key? Anybody have the key? So be very careful. Yeah. All right, good. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Ken Ferguson and the Black Box Foundation. Let's give him another round of applause. And although most of them stepped out, I want you to know that these young people, we didn't tell them to do this mock debate. We asked them if they'd be interested in participating in this. So as I mentioned earlier in this evening about not coming in here and trying to create an argument about the use of marijuana in whatever way it may be used in our society, that we wanted to present facts, we asked these young people to do that. And I believe they did it. Do you believe they did it? So they presented facts in different ways. They presented some opinion as well. They presented what's really out there, the opinions and the facts that are really out there. And the reason that we chose to share that with you tonight, and they chose to share that with you tonight, is because they want you to do the same thing. They want you to research this type of information as well. We do this for a living. We research this type of information all the time. The data and the information that you heard from them, it's actual research data. It's not just something they made up. The questions that you heard on the pro side wasn't just on a whim. These are questions that they hear, some of them have, on a daily basis in their own communities, at the schools and among friends. So it's reality as well for them. Okay? So it's important that you understand that that came from them and that they want you to share it with people that you know and love as well in an open conversation, as we said earlier. Okay? So they'll be able to hear you. Let's give them a big round of applause. The Casa Grande, oh, by the way, before I start this, I have to ask you or remind you that there's a green bucket going around on both sides of the room. They are for your cards. Fellow, there's holding up one of those. If you have a card with a question or a comment in it, just toss it in there. It'll keep going around here during this video. We'll probably collect it, so hopefully you were able to get something in there, okay? The Casa Grande Alliance and its members meet monthly. Those of you that are members, you know that we meet monthly to discuss current issues in our community. And recently we were able to view a video produced by SAM, which is Smart Approaches to Marijuana. This video was an eye-opener to just about everyone in the room. We do this for a living. We had some veterans in that room in treatment, recovery, education, prevention, veterans that have been doing this stuff for years. And watching this video opened our eyes. And so when we were trying to put this evening together, we had a discussion about this video, and we thought, this is really useful information, and that's why we're here tonight, right? Have useful information. And I believe that it will open your eyes as well. Those of you that are a little younger in this room, you might not remember all the commercialism that you're going to see in this video, but the majority of you will. And either way, the point will be made. So please direct your attention to the screens and enjoy the video. So, interesting video, right? That's the first time that I had seen it, not tonight, but at that meeting. And I grew up with the big tobacco wars, if you want to call them that. And I remember seeing those commercials. There's just some folks taking a seat behind me here, don't mind them. They're just getting themselves prepared. Anyways, how many of you were aware of all that information? Not everybody, right? Maybe most of you weren't, even if you grew up during those times. So it's pretty interesting, and it clearly identifies the connection to marijuana. So we thought we'd share that with you. We hope you enjoyed that. I took a quick look at your questions, those of you that submitted questions, and very good questions. There's a few that were the same question. We'll deal with that, but they were all very good questions, very important questions, and I think the answers will be equally as important. So thank you for submitting those. We're going to probably be able to address all of those. As I said, we'll try to give them, as I said earlier, we'll try to give them as much time as we can. There are a few professionals here locally that are joining us to help answer some of these questions. I'd like to introduce them by name and let them tell you just briefly what they do in our community. So I'll start right here on my left, and I'll introduce to you Judge John Ellsworth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to make him come up, Judge. You're absolutely right.
Let's take care of some Come on up here, officer. See, he'll listen to a judge.
That's right, that's right. The seat on the end is for you, sir.
You can thank me later. Hi, I see a lot of familiar faces in here, and I'm a little bit nervous. One reason is that my daughter is here, and another reason is the presiding judge for the Pinal County Superior Court is here. I'm not going to embarrass him if he wants to raise his hand real quick, Steve McFarland, Judge McFarland. So I have to make sure that I perform well on this, I get a free card. I have a free card?
Sure.
In any event, I was very, very proud. Let me stop. First, the young children, or I'm not going to call them children, they're the future of our community. They're not here right now, but I want to thank you for having the courage to get up in front of a group and speak like that. I admire that, and they are our future. They are our future. Real quick, a little bit about me. I was very, very proud to serve the community of Casa Grande for 20 years as a Casa Grande police officer, and I wasn't quite done with that yet. I went over to the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, retired from the Sheriff's Office in 2014 and ran for office, and thankfully, I appreciate it, I was elected as your judge for the Casa Grande Justice Court here in the Casa Grande area. So that's a little bit about my background.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Brianna Moore. Brianna, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Brianna, and my boss is in the room too. It's that guy right there. My name is Brianna. I'm the executive director of the Casa Grande Alliance. I've been with the Casa Grande Alliance for the last 4 years. It's the nonprofit organizational arm for the coalition. I'm also an Arizona certified prevention professional, and I'm also hold a bachelor's degree in public health.
Excellent. Thank you. So next is TJ Howard. TJ?
I'm TJ Howard. I work for Community Bridges. We do drug and alcohol treatment. I got into the treatment field in 2009. I had my own experience from 1999 through the court, through OP, through the whole legal system before I got clean. And now I do prevention and treatment.
And finally, my partner in crime fighting, Officer Paul Valentino. Paul?
Hi, my name is Paul Valentino. I've been a police officer in the city of Casa Grande 11 years and a total of 17 years total law enforcement experience. And my bosses are all here right now.
Thank you. So let's get started. There's only a handful of questions here, but we'll try to answer all of them. There may be a couple of questions, and those of you all have worked with me before, you know I'm going to probably put you on the spot. You may have to share an answer, but I'm sure among us here, I'll even help if I need to help answer your question. So let's start off with one that was asked 3 different times, so I can take 2 other cards out of here. Can marijuana really hurt your brain? And maybe Brianna would like to start with that.
So marijuana impacts the brain by connecting to receptor sites that are already located in your brain for chemicals that your body naturally produces. So when THC enters the brain, it binds to those receptor sites, not allowing the natural chemical to bind to those receptor sites. Marijuana, among youth, you've heard it in the video, you heard it, the kids stated that 1 in 6 will become addicted if they start before the age of 18, and 1 in 4 or 1 in 2 will become addicted if they're daily users, and that's because the impact on the brain, marijuana hijacks the natural pleasure system within your brain, and so marijuana takes that over, and that's how you become addicted. It also can lower your IQ by an average of 8 points. If you start at a younger age, there was a study done by Madeline Meyer, and it researched youth who started using marijuana and adults who started using marijuana and the impact on the brain. And when adults started using, they were able to recoup some of that loss, and the youth were not able to recoup as much loss. So the long-term effects of marijuana on the brain are permanent. So that's just a little bit about how it can impact the brain and your intelligence.
Thank you very much, Brianna. Anyone else want to comment on that quickly?
Yeah, and one thing that we do get in the treatment field is when people come in getting off marijuana, they go through a state of depression for a period of time, along with increased anxiety And you can tell everything, all their levels are a little bit off, you know, that if it does balance out, it will take a while, when that balance.
Excellent. So that's these 3 questions, all the same one. That's on everybody's mind. It was touched on a little bit by the students earlier as well, if you remember what they were saying, but thank you very much. So I'm going to throw this question at Officer Valentino, there's a back end to this question that we can get to here in just a few minutes with another question that kind of asks a follow-up to that. But let me find it here. What will happen to a parent who is caught with pot, marijuana, in their car and they have small children with them?
We treat that situation as no different if they were drinking and driving. With the way this legislation created this statute under the impaired driver, which also encompasses prescription medication and medical marijuana or marijuana. So because there's a child that if they're under the age of 15 and the parent, and we can prove that they are intoxicated or impaired to the slightest degree, then we can charge them with a felony. I believe it's a class 5 felony.
Now, Officer Valentino, what happens, just briefly, we don't have a lot of time, but briefly, what happens to those children at that time if you have to arrest that parent?
Well, if we try every opportunity to find another parent or a guardian. If not, then we'll have to contact CPS, which we have. In that situation is because, based upon the totality, circumstances, and everything else, is that the parent needs to get booked in. So if we can't find a responsible adult, then we turn over to CPS.
Does that happen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Officer Valentino. I'm going to ask you another one. I'll just ask it and I'll kind of answer part of it, and Officer Valentino can address this as well. I have a friend who uses and sells marijuana. Can I do something about that, and what? So, first of all, if you have a friend that uses marijuana and you want to know what you can do about that, I doubt that you meant the question to be like, can I report them and get them put in jail or something like that. You probably meant, can I get them some help? So first, let me throw that to maybe TJ.
Yeah.
And then we'll get back to Officer.
Okay, yeah. There are plenty of places here in town that we do offer detox. We have outpatient through many different providers. We have funding that will help people that don't have insurance, and we also take people that have any kind of state funded or private insurance out there. There is help. We're everywhere, actually. We have a lot of treatment providers in the audience.
So, and just quickly, another question right up that alley, we'll get back to the second part of that last question. What treatment resources are available for someone addicted to marijuana? So you touched on that briefly, but between you and Brianna, are there other places people can go? Is there a one-stop shop that anyone's ever heard of about resources and treatment?
Yeah, basically any behavioral health provider that we have here in town is a one-stop shop. You go in there and you tell them what problem you have, and they'll direct you the right way to go. If they're not the right people, then they'll get you to the right people. But there's outpatient treatment. They have 30-day treatment, residential detox, AA, NA. You know, there's help for anybody wanting it.
And Brianna, I'm trying to push a plug your way. Is there a one-stop shop, like a library, where people can learn and find resources as well?
I'm sharing a brain with you, Thomas.
There you go.
I'm
sorry about that.
The Casa Grande, as long as I don't share the same hair, we're good.
All right.
The Casa Grande Alliance is a treatment resource referral agency, so if you have a loved one that's addicted and you need help getting them into treatment, you don't know which one is the right one, you don't know if they accept insurance, what ages or gender that they serve, you can call the Casa Grande Alliance and there's staff on duty that will help direct you or your loved one in the right direction. We don't directly provide services to individuals, but we help community members direct them in the right way, because when you're suffering from addiction or you've got a loved one that's suffering from addiction, they're what's on your mind and we're there to help support you. So it can be tough navigating what's right for you and your loved one, but we're there to help. So if you have any needs, go ahead and call our office, 836-5022.
And it's on that pin, I believe.
Yes.
Right, absolutely. So let me back up to the last question quickly, and the second part of that question was, well, what if I know someone that's selling marijuana? Well, using marijuana or any drug and being addicted is pretty serious, right? Well, so is selling it. Some people say even more serious, right? And affecting many more people and you're part of a bigger problem. Well, there are plenty of things you can do. Just from a patrol officer's point of view, Officer Valentino, what would you tell, now not as the reporting officer, like you're going to their house, they want to report something, but if someone asks for advice about, well, I know someone's selling marijuana, is there a way for them to report that information?
Absolutely. First, I'd ask that person why they consider that person a friend. Because friends don't do that. Especially in the state of Arizona, it's a felony, depending on the weight and the amount you have. But to go back, yes, there's resources. You can come speak to us. But more importantly, I think that you should confront that person. And if they're truly a friend or a loved one, you confront them on that issue. And if that doesn't work, then you have resources with the police department. We do have anonymous solid witness reporting. And you can go that route. And if you don't want to be anonymous, then you can contact and leave a name. And we have a narcotics unit that can help out.
That leads me, those are a couple of questions that kind of skirt the issue, but I'm going to get to this big issue here, and I think we're going to direct this directly at the judge. What are the consequences of getting caught with marijuana, Judge?
Well, in Arizona, any possession of marijuana, no matter what the amount is still technically a felony. The prosecutor's office, now I'm in a limited jurisdiction court, so I just deal with the misdemeanors. But depending on the quantity, and I have to assume it's pretty small, and there's not a strong history behind the defendant, because the ones that come into me, the county attorney's office decided to charge them with a class 1 misdemeanor. It was the amount was under 2 pounds, and it was charged originally as a class 6 felony. And I don't want to bore you with all the legal jargon, but Class 6 gives you the opportunity to open that up and bring it down to a lower level, Class 1. And so what I'm seeing in my court most often during initial appearances, and we have a few bench trials, is that it's a smaller amount, and I'll normally see possession of paraphernalia with that. So even the plastic baggie that holds that marijuana, the state says that's paraphernalia. It's used to hold the marijuana. Let's get to the point. They charge a Class 1 misdemeanor, and again, I don't want to bore you, but I'm just going to let you know that Class 1 misdemeanor, the maximum penalty for that is $2,500 plus surcharges, the 6 months in jail or 3 years probation. The standard fine that we issue in our court, and all the judges in Pinal County all got together, and we decided that this is what the bond is going to be, this is what the fine is going to be. So any court you go to within Pinal County is going to be the same. For a Class 1 misdemeanor, first offense is going to be $1,465. Is this where I go boom? They're also required to attend 8 hours of counseling for substance abuse at their own cost, and we issue a court order for that. We're pretty limited on who we can do that to, so I'm not going to put any business names out right now. But we issue a court order to them, and they're required to submit to that and successfully complete that substance abuse. There are mandated state fines on this, so the judge can't suspend it. The state says there has to be this much. So if you're caught with it, and if you plead guilty, or if you're found guilty, then that is the penalty you're going to see, at least in the lower court. Does that answer your question or no?
Absolutely, yes, it does.
Very good.
Thank you very much. So, I don't know about you all. My boss is in the room too. I can't afford to give $1,465 away. I don't make a lot of money. But either way, well, I really don't. But you don't want to commit any crime and have to pay any kind of a fine. But that's a lot of money. It really is. And you're talking about not just for the marijuana, the paraphernalia, just the baggie itself. That's another charge, another fine of $1,465.
Yes.
That's amazing. Thank you very much, Judge. That's great information. I don't believe it's boring at all. I think it's very important to know that. That's what you're getting. These are all about decisions, right, folks? And when you make decisions, you weigh the risks, you weigh all these things, and I think that's a risk. Can I afford to live this type of lifestyle?
Can I interject something?
You please.
I'd like to throw something else in there. One of the young ladies that was doing the mock debate made me think about it, and it carried a lot of impact when I heard her say that. in this mock scenario, she's saying that she's an adult and that she smoked marijuana, and her kids, she had kids, and that's fine. One of the things that I have been, I've told defendants this before, sometimes you don't really want to editorialize too much from the bench, you just want to take care of business. But we're part of the community, and so there's times when I want to get a message across to somebody. And I've reminded some of these defendants, and I'll say it again here, when you're a parent, your children are looking at you on how they're supposed to behave when they grow up. And so that's a very important point to keep in mind. And I've seen grown men, it hits them, I can see it hit them right in front of me, you can see the tears well up. Whether it works or not, I don't know, I've been in long enough to see if they're going to come back to me, but I sure hope it does. All right, thank you, I just want to
No, absolutely, thank you, Judge. You know, it's important to recognize that many times when we have professional panels or we speak in public with our coalition, you're not just talking to somebody that works in that business, you're talking to someone that has children or family members that have been involved with issues like this, or are at least addressing it in their own home. So you're not just getting the former law enforcement officer and the judge here, you're getting the dad as well, right?
Absolutely.
And his daughter's sitting here, so she knows I'm telling the truth. All right. So we've only got a couple minutes left. I don't want to shortchange these questions because there's only 3 of them. I apologize, we don't have a medical professional on our panel tonight, so we're going to do the best we can, okay? But I tell you, they won't be giving you their opinions, so if they have some factual information that they can give about these answers, they will, okay? So I'm going to throw this one out for anyone to take. It's an interesting question. Is there a difference between marijuana coming from Mexico and medical or legal marijuana grown in the United States? Officer Valentino, you want to answer that?
I spent 2 years with the State Gang Task Force. Oh, well, I can speak longer. The State Gang Task Force, and the marijuana coming out of Mexico typically has about a 10% THC level. The medical marijuana we'd see out here in Arizona coming from Colorado and California, the hydroponic marijuana, you're looking at upwards to 50% of the THC level. Now, they just talked about it recently. They refer to it as dab. Also, you hear on the street, it's called earwax. Basically, it's an extract. They use butane to extract the THC from the marijuana plant, and it comes into this liquid form, and they burn it off, and it's come dab. And they put it into edible marijuana. The problem is it's up to 80 to 85% pure THC. Think about it when you drink alcohol. Whether it's a divorce, a wedding, or whatever in between, you drink that much alcohol in a short amount of time, how do you feel? That's what people are experiencing with this marijuana.
Excellent, thank you very much, Officer Valentino. And I can tell you this, I haven't experienced it, eaten any of it, but I have seen a lot of these edible treats or edible, just things that you can eat that have marijuana, and they're packaged. But it doesn't say on there how much THC is in it. So where is that regulation at? That's going to be a major question, and that is, I know this from speaking to people that actually sell it in Colorado. I spoke to them not too long ago at a conference that I was at, and they have no way of identifying how much is actually in that because it's not being regulated. So you have someone that's, like you said, that's used to smoking a joint, as we would say, and now they're biting into an edible candy bar or whatever, and it has 80 to 90% THC level in it. What's the result going to be, right? Could be very tragic. So very good answer. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to address that?
I'm just going to follow up with that. Like the officer said, marijuana is marijuana. The active ingredient in it is THC. That's what attaches to the receptor sites and gets people high, whether you're eating it or you're smoking it. Depending on if it comes from Mexico or if it's homegrown or wherever it comes from, the THC content can be different, but what is getting you high is the THC. So marijuana is marijuana is marijuana.
All right, thank you very much, Brianna. So 2 quick questions left. One, I'm not sure if anybody wants to try to field this. We don't have to field it. We can get the information back to you. If you want to see me after it, it'll be this yellow card, and we can do that privately. But what is the impact of marijuana-addicted parents on their children? So I don't know if the question means, and you don't have to speak up, but I don't know if the question means, physiologically, biologically, or in the household behavioral wise. But what is the impact of marijuana addicted parents on their children? Possibly TJ, I don't know, do you see this issue out there? And please, you don't have to.
I'm trying to think of a good way to look at it. I'd rather get back to you.
Okay. So, does anyone want to address that here at all?
The way I understood the question is a parent who is addicted to marijuana and the baby is in utero is the way I understood the question. So if a parent, it would obviously be a mother, was using marijuana when she was pregnant, the THC is absorbed through the blood, and so it would affect the baby. So anything that you eat or ingest impacts the baby in its development in utero. So it would have an impact. What that exact impact is, I'm not an expert on that, but again, THC goes through the bloodstream, so it would impact the fetus. And I know that if you are breastfeeding as well, it can be transferred through the milk.
All right, thank you very much, Brianna. So whoever wrote that question, if you'd like to come see myself or maybe Brianna after, even privately, that's fine, and we'll get you some more information about that, okay? So I know Brianna's done quite a bit of answering. She's kind of a know-it-all when it comes to this stuff, right? But this question looks like it was written for her. So if anyone else wants to answer as well, they can as coalition members, because everyone at this table is basically a coalition member. But if marijuana does become legal in Arizona for recreational purposes, how might that affect the mission of the Casa Grande Alliance? So I guess it is directed at you.
Oh, we didn't thank you.
The Casa Grande Alliance mission is to prevent substance abuse among youth and adults in Casa Grande. Whether it's legal or not, we have no bias. What we want to do is make sure that people are educated and informed to make a responsible decision for themselves. We educate on underage drinking and alcohol abuse, whether it's a youth or adult. We educate on prescription drug abuse, whether it's a youth or adult, whether you're taking prescriptions to manage pain or you're taking them to self-medicate. We also educate on illegal drugs such as spice and marijuana and heroin. So no matter what the substance is, if it can be abused, we're going to educate on it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give our professional panel a round of applause. I want to thank you all for coming. I know we went a couple of minutes over, but then again, I started you a couple of minutes late, right? Because I wouldn't let you in. We want to thank you for coming, and we want to remind you that our goal was simple. Our goal was to provide you with information that you can use to engage in a conversation with your family and your friends at home. We wanted to open your eyes and get you to open your ears, open your hearts, open your minds, and discuss marijuana use in your community. That's what we wanted you to do, and we hope that we provided you with that information tonight. We really thank you for coming. We hope you learned something, and we hope it results in you and your family and friends making good decisions.